Hi, darling. Welcome back. Why are wealthy South African men unhealthy? Is it even body shaming to point out that there's a large number of South African men who are unhealthy but wealthy? And I know someone's going to point out that not every single wealthy man is unhealthy, which is true. We have exceptions like Musi Maimani, Melusi Kikaba, Ntovo Mashaba. There are exceptions to the rule, but there's a large majority of very rich South African men who are very unhealthy. And in this video, I want to unpack why. Why are very wealthy South African men so unhealthy? I'm going to go through a list of 8 South African men to exemplify this point. The first man that I'm going to showcase is Soli Soka, who is a mining tycoon. You can clearly see that this man is wealthy, has a great running business, can afford a lot of different things. And he was even featured on a post on Twitter whereby Tulisile Pongolo was highlighting the fact that a lot of wealthy men in the South African context tend to be unhealthy or overweight. The other example is the Minister of Sports, Gayton McKenzie. Do I have to say more? And from his most recent TikTok post, I could see that he's apparently going on a health journey to try and improve his physical health, which is amazing. But my question is always, how does it happen that you're so wealthy, but you're so unhealthy? The other example is Kenny Gunene, who is a businessman and friends with Gayton McKenzie. Number 4 is Gwede Mantashe, who is our Minister of Minerals and Petroleum. Number 5 is Bafana Sindane, who is a taxi tycoon who was also popularly known, gained a lot of popularity because he was dating Amanda DuPont. Number 6 is Floyd Shibambu, who is a politician and is very popularly known for being in the EFF. Number 7 is the nephew of our former president, Jacob Zuma. His name is Kulubuse Zuma, who is also a businessman and is obviously related to our former president. The last guy is our current president's son, Andile Ramaphosa. He used to be, I'm proud of him, honestly. I'm proud of him. He used to be very much overweight, and he has taken a decision and has worked on himself to improve his situation, and he looks absolutely amazing right now. I will commend him because losing weight is a process and it is a hard process. But luckily for him, he has the resources and the family and the access to certain medical resources that us as the public might not even have. To further stipulate my point, this is not to body shame these men. It's just genuine curiosity as to why, as someone who has so much privilege, you decide to not also invest in your health. You can invest in all these luxury items, but you're not investing in your health. It's always perplexing to me. I read an article by Zandile and other researchers which proves my point. The article was talking about the fact that as African men earn higher income, move in the income scale, and they are in a relationship or are married, they tend to increase in overall weight and size. Whereas men who have mental health issues, men who don't earn as much money, especially in the African context, when it comes to African men, they tend to be underweight. So as a man, as an African man increases in terms of his earning potential and what he makes money-wise, and if he's also in a stable relationship or a marriage, that contributes to an extent those have been identified as factors that contribute to them also having a very high BMI or body mass index. And I know you might be asking, why am I targeting men in particular and not women? Double standards exist for a reason, and even biologically, there are double standards in the biology of men and women. I'm pointing out men because men have a much easier time with losing weight, and there is research on that. Men have a biological advantage when it comes to losing weight. You could exercise with a guy and he will lose weight faster than you because men have more muscle mass, and having high muscle mass means your body works overtime to burn calories because of it has to provide food for your muscles. Men have more muscle mass, which means their body burns calories faster than a woman's body. Men also have testosterone. Testosterone helps with higher metabolism or a faster metabolism. It has been studied and shown that because men have higher testosterone levels and they tend to have only fewer hormones fluctuating in their system, they tend to lose weight faster because testosterone gives you a biological advantage into losing weight. And statistically, it has been shown that most men tend to have a faster metabolism than most women. Women have a biological disadvantage when it comes to losing weight because a woman's body's hormones are constantly fluctuating, and the fluctuation of hormones, there's a reason behind that. A woman's body weight will fluctuate because of hormonal fluctuations, and the body is always trying to store fat. It is also to ensure that a woman has more cushioning for a baby in case that she's pregnant. Her body is constantly every month preparing for pregnancy. So there is a biological advantage. Even if you say, I am biased and pointing out, and I'm biased because I'm targeting men, there is a double standard. Biologically, we have to actually acknowledge that men have a biological advantage in terms of losing weight. If you've ever watched the show, The Biggest Loser, as a kid, you will realize and see how much men were losing weight even faster than women on that show, because even the body has a bias. The body doesn't care about double standards. It's harder to imagine why men with all these resources, you can buy Gucci, you can buy Louis Vuitton, you can go on trips abroad, you can buy all these big houses and cars, but you're not prioritizing your health. How are you going to be able to take care and enjoy your wealth? I'm very concerned because it has been shown that men tend to have more visceral fat. Visceral fat, we have two types of fat. We have subcutaneous fat. The fat, in simple terms, subcutaneous is the fat that you can feel. When you hold your stomach, you can feel the fat. And then they have visceral fat. Everyone has visceral fat, but men tend to have more visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat inside. It's the one that protects your organs, like your hearts, your internal organs. That is the fat that men tend to have. If you look at all these men that I've showcased, you could clearly see that a lot of them have visceral fat. Whether you call it body shaming, health-wise, having visceral fat, high amounts of visceral fat, which is usually around the belly, because a common feature is the belly. If you have a lot of visceral fat, you have higher risk of strokes, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, certain cancers. Whether you like it or not, whether you say I'm body shaming or not, biology doesn't care about body shaming. You are a health risk when you have a lot of visceral fat, whether you like it or not. And I am concerned, but I have a few assumptions, a few theories that I think explain why a lot of wealthy South African men tend to not care as much about their physical health. Obviously, I don't know these men personally. Maybe some of them are on a personal health journey. But from the optics, from what we see as the public, you can clearly see someone who is not really taking care of their physical health. I have three possible explanations as to why I think a lot of wealthy South African men tend to not care about the physical health. In African culture, having more size to you has been associated with wealth, and there's an assumption that a man's beauty is in his wealth. And how do you show off your wealth? I've noticed that even having bigger weight in the South African context, which is evolving as we're growing, as we're becoming more aware of health, having access to information that talks about training and all that, I believe that is eventually evolving. But there is a cultural thing that when you see a very big or chubby man, the assumption is that that person has money. And there's a long history that I remember being a kid that being thin in the South African context means something different than being thin in any other culture. We know that people are going to say you probably have a certain virus if you are thin. People will gossip if you are thin that you might be sick, that you need to eat, that they will comment on your weight regardless of whether you're big or small. But usually when you're thin, people assume that you have a specifically sexually transmitted virus. To be more specific, HIV. Culturally speaking, in South Africa, a man's beauty is in his wealth. We always say, indoda is inkomo zayo, ubuhle bendoda is inkomo zayo, which basically loosely translates to a man's beauty is in his wealth, which means that a lot of the times, culturally speaking, our culture almost has this element whereby as long as a man is wealthy, what he looks like doesn't matter. In the world of vanity, people have more pressure to look beautiful. Are women. Women have constant pressure to look beautiful. There's plastic surgeries, there's bleaching, there's weight loss, there's BBLs, there's all these things. There's face fillers, there's nip tucks, there's tummy tucks. There's so many procedures targeted to women. Beauty standards tend to be just way more harsher on women, culturally speaking, compared to men. In South Africa, you have so many standards for women, whereas men don't have a lot of expectations when it comes to their appearance. And I am of the belief, I don't believe women don't care about a man's appearance. I don't believe that. I do believe that women can also appreciate seeing a very handsome man, a very beautiful man. But women are also willing to compromise for security. Women are comfortable with the fact that if I'm with this pretty boy and he cannot provide, what is the point? I need to have kids. My biological clock is ticking. What is this pretty boy going to provide me if he doesn't have the security that I need? Women are more willing to let go of the desire for a physically attractive man and go for men who are more moneyed, men who have money. And I'm not trying to say that there are not women who are attracted to chubby men. I know women who are attracted to chubby men, but let's actually be honest. Society is vain, whether you like it or not. We all appreciate a beautiful person. We all appreciate a beautiful body. That is why certain influencers get to be on TV shows because of how they look, whether male or female. So women are more lenient. Women are more willing to fall in love with a man's personality, and then he starts looking handsome to them. Whether he's obese or not, they are willing to overlook that as long as he is a provider. The third point is our economics. Our economic situation allows wealthy men to thrive when it comes to dating. Because if we're seeing that a lot of young people are struggling to get jobs, and even when they do have jobs, young men and young women still don't earn enough money to afford even a house. They have to pay installments. They can't buy cars cash. It's more appealing to date a man with money because now you know that you can have your desired goals immediately, the marriage, the big house, the big cars. You can rest. You can rest knowing that you don't have to work as hard because your man is going to be earning way much more money than you. Our economic situation does make sure that wealthy people thrive. Whether we like it or not, wealthy people live a different reality, and being wealthy allows you to break a lot of rules. It could be criminal rules, and I'm not saying these men are criminals, allegedly, because they've had scandals that they've been involved in. So everything when it comes to criminality or the criminal nature of these men is alleged. But when you are wealthy, you can break a lot of rules. You can break a lot of legal rules. You can break a lot of social rules. Being a wealthy man, you can get almost any beautiful woman that you want. And therefore, if you think about a man who's extremely obese, he is not going to get rejected by women if he's wealthy. This is just an assumption. If he's already getting the rewards of men who might be more physically fit, he already gets the beautiful woman. He already gets the attention from women. What's the point in him changing his weight? Because he's already getting the benefits without having to improve his physical appearance, without having to improve his health. He still gets to eat, whether or not he's chubby or skinny. But the fact that he is wealthy equalizes everything. And also, I genuinely believe that if you live a life of excess, everything is easier. If I want food, I can just order food. I can order a private chef. I can have a chef 24/7 cooking for me. If I want a woman, I can just go on social media, or I can just get an assistant, or I could just show off my wealth and women will be drawn to me. So there's a life of ease. It's easier for wealthy men to attract women because, and that thing I feel like it feeds them into getting used to easy things. Therefore, why must I go to the gym? Because I'm already wealthy. I already get women. I already get the attention. I'm living nice. I'm living beautifully than some men who have six packs. What is the point of getting a six pack when I can already get the guy's girlfriend who has a six pack? I wouldn't say I'm worried. I'm more confused. I'm confused by the fact that how are you so wealthy? How do you have access to, you could have access to the best doctors. You can have access to even Ozempic. You can have access to the best plastic surgeons, to the best personal trainers, to the best gyms. But you choose not to, even though you have the resources. I'm worried about, do you even care about living longer? Because for me, I feel like if you're wealthy, you probably do want to indulge and enjoy your money till your last days. But I feel like some of these wealthy men live a life of excess and a life of YOLO. You only live once. Therefore, I don't think they even care about their physical health. Some of them care. I've shown you Andile Ramaphosa. Gayton McKenzie is on a health journey, apparently, from his social media post. But I am actually shocked at the fact that you have such a beautiful privilege. You have money, you're successful in your career, you have access to beautiful women. Why not leverage that? Why not improve your health so you stay longer to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor? But I want to hear your opinions in the comment section. How do you feel? Have you noticed a trend that a lot of wealthy men tend to be overweight in South Africa? Why is that? I want to hear your opinions in the comment section. And if you got to the end of this video, leave food emojis in the comment section. And thank you for watching, darling. Bye-bye.